In the cold silence of space, a lone salvager opens his docking bay to find something no scan could have warned him about. A young dragon, chained and left to die, her once brilliant scales dimmed to the color of fading stars. Within minutes, powerful ships close in, claiming she belongs to them. But what they do not know is that this salvager has no intention of giving her back, and the decision he makes will ignite a battle far beyond his quiet station. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and tell us where are you watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. Marcus Wren had spent the last 10 years living alone on a small orbital station that circled the edge of known space. His work as a space salvager kept him busy enough to pay for supplies and repairs. He liked the quiet life, far from the noise of corporate worlds and their endless disputes. Every morning began the same way: a check of the station systems, a walk along the outer ring, and a scan for any stray cargo drifting near the docking ports. That morning began no different. The chill of recycled air brushed against his face as he stepped into the docking corridor. The lights hummed faintly above him. Marcus carried a small scanner in one hand and a mug of strong tea in the other. He was halfway through his routine when the station sensors flashed a warning. Bay 4 had sealed itself during the night. The system reported unexpected mass inside. Marcus frowned. No ships had docked overnight. He set down his tea and walked to the bay. The heavy door hissed open to reveal the cargo chamber beyond. His eyes widened at what he saw. Chained to the far wall was a creature unlike anything he had seen in years. Her body was long and powerful, covered in scales that must once have been a deep blue, but now looked pale and lifeless. Faint pulses of biolight flickered beneath her skin, like small stars trying not to fade. Her wings were folded tightly against her sides, and her head hung low as if every movement was too heavy. Marcus stepped closer and saw the devices clamped around her neck and limbs. They were neural bindings, high-grade equipment used for controlling intelligent creatures. These were not meant for restraint alone. They were designed to keep the mind locked down while draining the body's bioenergy. The sight made his stomach tighten. He had seen this technology before. It was illegal under dozens of interstellar laws, but still used in the darker corners of space. He checked the station logs. No record of arrival, no record of departure. It was as if she had been dropped there without a trace. Someone had abandoned her, left her to die in silence. Marcus moved slowly toward her. Her eyes snapped open. They were a piercing gold, sharp and alert despite the weakness in her body. She let out a sound that was half roar and half cry. The neural bindings sent a shudder through her frame. She winced in pain and tried to pull away from him. "Easy now," Marcus said in a calm and steady voice. He raised his hands to show he carried no weapon. "I am not here to harm you. I just want to get these off." The dragon-like creature's gaze stayed fixed on him. She could not speak. The bindings blocked her telepathy. She was trapped inside her own mind. But something in his voice seemed to reach her. Her tense muscles loosened slightly. She stopped pulling at the chains. Marcus drew out a plasma cutter from his belt. He worked carefully to slice through the first binding without touching her scales. The metal clamp hit the floor with a loud clang. She inhaled sharply, as if a weight had been lifted from her chest. A faint ripple of brighter blue ran across her body. He kept working. The smell of heated metal filled the air. Each clamp fell away with a solid thud. She did not fight him. She watched his face as if searching for proof that she could trust him. When the last binding was gone, she slumped forward, not from defeat, but from sudden relief. Marcus caught her gently. He could feel the faint hum of energy returning to her body. "You are safe here," he told her, though he was not certain how true that would be. A flashing light on his wrist display broke the moment. The station's proximity alarm screamed for attention. 3 ships had just appeared on long-range scans. Their speed and trajectory left no doubt. They were coming directly for his station, and they were not slowing. Marcus glanced at the creature. Her eyes were wide and knowing. She understood what those shits meant. Trouble was on its way. He checked the readings. The vessels were large enough to be corporate enforcers or clan hunters. Either way, they were not here by accident. In the silent dock bay, the air felt heavier. Marcus realized his quiet life was about to end. The appearance of this chained creature was not a random event. It was the start of something much bigger, something dangerous. He stepped back, looking over her frame again. She was young for her kind, barely grown, yet the scars along her neck and sides spoke of years of use and abuse. Someone had taken everything from her and still wanted more. The station vibrated slightly as the ships closed in. Marcus made a decision. Whatever came next, he would not hand her over to whoever had done this. "Let us get you inside," he said, his voice steady, though his mind was racing. He helped her to her feet. She moved slowly, every step careful. Her wings dragged slightly against the floor. Together, they left the cargo bay, the heavy door sealing behind them. Outside, the stars kept their silent watch, but in the space between them, danger was already on approach. And Marcus knew the real story had only just begun. Marcus guided the weakened creature through the narrow hallways of his station. The air was warmer here. The hum of power conduits and the soft glow of wall lights gave the space a quiet comfort. He led her into his workshop, where tools and ship parts were stacked neatly along the walls. In the center stood a heat table. He adjusted the settings until the surface glowed gently, radiating the kind of warmth he knew her kind needed. She lowered herself onto the heated surface with a slow exhale. Marcus poured a thick, nutrient-rich broth into a metal bowl and set it beside her. Steam rose in the cool air. She leaned forward, lapping at it in careful sips. The color in her scales deepened slightly as the warmth spread through her body. After a moment, her voice came. It was soft and hoarse, as if unused for a long time. "My name is Lyran." She paused to drink again before speaking. "I was brought here by someone I once trusted. His name is Darren Velt." Marcus listened in silence. She told him how Darren had been her handler since she was barely grown. At first, he had treated her as valuable, but his interest had never been in her well-being. He had bound her with neural devices and drained her bioenergy to sell to buyers in shadow markets. Years passed, and she weakened under the constant extraction. When her energy output fell, Darren began to see her as a burden. Her golden eyes flicked up to meet Marcus's. "I was supposed to be payment for a debt, a very large debt." She swallowed hard before continuing. "The one who owns that debt is Lord Karen Dravik. He is not just powerful. He is feared. He controls half of the legal and illegal bioenergy trade in the outer systems." Marcus recognized the name. Every spacer did. Dravik was ancient by her species measure, ruthless, calculating. A dragon whose business empire reached far beyond simple trade. "There is more," Lyran said quietly. "Dravik is my father." Marcus straightened, his hands pausing over the workbench. "Your father?" "Yes," she answered, her voice tight. "When I was hatched, he called me unfit. My mother was cast out with me. We survived on the edge of the trade lanes. But now, as I have grown, My body can produce high-grade energy. He wants me back, not as a daughter, as a resource, as a battery. The truth sat heavy in the workshop air. Marcus could see the shame and anger in her face. Before he could speak, his console beeped with a fresh scan. The 3 ships on approach were closer now. He studied the data. 2 bore the mark of corporate enforcement. The 3rd carried the insignia of a private clan, likely the same one that had worked with Darren Velt. Lyron's gaze shifted to the display. They are coming for me. Darren will be with them. If he is not, then he has sent someone worse. And Dravik's influence means there will be no questions asked. They will take me back, whether I can stand or not. Marcus rubbed a hand over his jaw. Calling station security was an option, but he knew the truth. The local security chief had been on corporate payroll for years. If he called them, Lyron would be handed back without hesitation. He poured her another serving of broth. You are safe here for now. But if those ships dock, they will not wait for permission. I do not want to hide, Lyron said. Her voice had a steadiness beneath the weakness. I have hidden all my life. I would rather stand with someone who will not sell me and be dragged away again. Marcus felt the weight of her words. He had left the inner systems years ago to escape the reach of corporate wars. He had seen friends treated like assets and discarded when no longer useful. In Lyron's eyes, he saw the same pain he had carried for years. Tell me everything you know about Dravik's people, Marcus said. She described the structure of Dravik's forces, the ships he favored, the way his enforcers operated under the cover of legal contracts. She spoke of her years in captivity, the constant drain on her body, and the brief moments of freedom she had found when traveling between handlers. Her story was not just about her. It was about an entire system built to control her kind. She explained how dragons were often used as living energy sources because their bioelectric output was far beyond any artificial generator. Their long lifespans made them valuable for decades of extraction. A binding she had worn were designed to suppress higher thought while keeping the energy-producing organs active. Marcus felt anger rise in him. And now they think they can just walk in here and take you? Lyron nodded. They do not think. They know. They believe no one will challenge them. Marcus walked to his comm console. He scrolled through old contacts. Among the names was Joran Malik, a smuggler, a risk-taker, and the only person Marcus knew who had crossed Dravik and lived. I may know someone who can help, Marcus said, but we'll need a plan. Lyron tilted her head. What kind of plan? Marcus looked at the approaching ships on the display. One that makes them think twice about ever coming back. The silence between them was broken only by the hum of the station. The ships were closing in. The time for decisions was almost over. Marcus met her gaze. You have survived worse than this. We will not make it easy for them. Lyron's scales shimmered faintly, the blue deepening as her strength returned. She did not smile, but there was a spark in her golden eyes that had not been there before. The story she carried was heavy with loss, betrayal, and pain. But in that moment, Marcus realized it was also a story of survival. And survival was something he understood all too well. Marcus stood at the center of his workshop, staring at the display that tracked the approaching ships. The countdown was relentless. 12 minutes until they reached docking range. Each minute felt shorter than the last. Lyron lay near the heat table, her wings folded tightly, her eyes fixed on the data feed. She did not speak. She did not have to. Marcus could feel her tension in the stillness of the room. He weighed his options. Calling the local authorities was possible, but useless. He knew the station's security chief by reputation, a man who followed corporate orders without question. If Marcus handed Lyran over, she would be back in chains before sunset. He thought about hiding her in one of the cargo compartments, but the scans from those ships would find her within minutes. The only real choice was to stand and face them. Marcus turned to the comm unit and opened his old contacts list. It had been years since he had spoken to some of these names. Smugglers, traders, station operators who owed him favors from long-forgotten jobs. Among them was one name that stood out: Captain Joran Malik. Joran had made his living by slipping through the cracks of corporate control. He had once stolen a full shipment of bioenergy cells from Lord Karen Dravik's personal convoy and lived to tell the story. If anyone knew how to work around Dravik's reach, it was him. Marcus keyed in a short message. Urgent. Need assistance. Situation involves Dravik. Respond if willing. He sent it across multiple encrypted channels and returned to the display. The ships were 9 minutes out now. Lyran broke the silence. What are you planning to do? Marcus took a slow breath. I am planning to make them believe they cannot touch you without paying a price they cannot afford. Her golden eyes studied him. How will you do that? He looked at the datapad on his bench. By making Dravik think the entire system will know what he has done here. He began compiling a digital packet. Images of the bindings he had cut from her. Sensor logs showing her condition when she arrived. Station security footage of her chained in the bay. Every detail painted a clear picture of illegal trafficking and abuse. He set the file to a secure holding channel. It was not sent yet, but he could transmit it to multiple news networks with one command. The comm unit beeped. A voice crackled through. Marcus Wren, I hear you have trouble. Joran Malik's tone was as confident as ever. Marcus quickly explained the situation. The abandoned dragon, the approaching ships, the presence of Dravik himself. Joran gave a low whistle. You know Dravik does not let things go. But if you can stall him, I might be able to cut his claws. I am not far, and I have friends who would enjoy the chance to embarrass him. Marcus glanced at Lyran. How long would you need? 10 minutes if all goes well, Joran said. 15 if not. Marcus looked at the countdown. You have 9 until they dock. Joran chuckled. Then you had better keep them talking. The line went dead. Moments later, a hail came through on an open frequency. Marcus Wren, this is Handler Darren Velt. You have something that belongs to me. Marcus answered calmly. Nothing here belongs to you. You left her to die. She is registered cargo. Paid for. Almost paid for anyway, Darren replied. Another voice cut in, deep and resonant. Unmistakably Dravik's. Marcus Wren, return my property now, and we can resolve this without further difficulty. Marcus met Lyran's gaze before speaking. She is not property. She is a living being, and she is staying here. Dravik's voice hardened. The courts disagree. Handler Velt's debt to me is bound by contract. She is collateral. The debt is unpaid. You are now holding stolen goods. Marcus kept his tone steady. Then take it up with him. But if you think you can take her by force, understand this. I have already sent evidence of what you have done to multiple news networks. Footage of a dragon left to die on my station. Your company's markings on the illegal devices. 7 separate treaty violations. Once it is public, even your allies will have to distance themselves. There was a pause. You are bluffing, Dravik said. Am I? Marcus replied. Check channel 77 Alpha. See the headline for yourself. In truth, Marcus had not transmitted the data, but Dravik did not know that. The silence on the channel stretched for several long seconds. What do you want? Why, Dravik asked at last. A face-to-face meeting, Marcus said. You, me, and Liren. No weapons, no enforcers, here in my bay. And if I refuse, then the evidence goes wide, and you spend the next decade fighting lawsuits and losing trade partners. Another pause. 5 minutes, Dravik said. The channel closed. Marcus turned to Liren. Can you stand for this? She pushed herself upright, her wings twitching slightly. I can stand, and if needed, I can fight. Marcus reached for the rifle mounted above his bench, checking the charge. Let us hope it does not come to that. The display showed the 3 ships slowing to docking speed. Joran's help was still minutes away. Marcus knew he had to hold the line until then. In his mind, the decision was already made. He would not give Liren back. Not to Darren, not to Dravik, not to anyone. The risk was great, but the cost of doing nothing would be greater. This was no longer just about a rescued dragon. Bay 1 was the largest docking space on Marcus's station. It had been built to handle heavy cargo haulers, but today it would hold something far more dangerous. Marcus stood in the center of the deck, with Liren at his side. Her scales had regained more color, shimmering faintly under the bay lights. The docking indicators glowed red as the incoming ship sealed against the outer airlock. Marcus kept his pulse rifle slung, but ready. He knew weapons were forbidden for this meeting, yet he was not about to be caught unprepared. Liren shifted her weight from one clawed foot to another, wings half open as if ready to spring. Her golden eyes never left the airlock door. The chamber pressurized with a deep hiss. The heavy hatch rolled back, revealing a figure that filled the space. Lord Karen Dravik did not come in human form. He stepped through as a dragon, vast and imposing, his scales the deep crimson of old blood. Each movement sent ripples of bioelectric energy across his wings. Behind him, handler Darren Velt followed in a nervous half-step, keeping just far enough back to avoid drawing attention. Dravik's gaze swept the bay before fixing on Liren. "Daughter," he said in a voice that rumbled through the floor plates, "you have been gone a long time." "Not by choice," Liren answered, her voice steady. "You cast me out." Dravik's eyes narrowed. "I corrected a mistake, but mistakes can be mended. Return to me, and you will live in comfort beyond anything you can imagine." Marcus stepped forward. "She will not be going with you." Dravik turned his attention to Marcus. "You have interfered in matters beyond your reach. This is not a fight you can win." Marcus kept his tone calm. "Maybe not with weapons, but battles are not always fought that way. While we speak, a copy of the evidence against you is ready to be sent across 3 systems. It shows everything. The bindings. Her condition. The markings of your company. Once it goes public." Darren shifted uneasily. Dravik's tail lashed once against the deck. "You are bluffing," he said. Marcus held his ground. "Try me." Before Dravik could reply, the station's outer sensors triggered an alert. Dravik's ships outside were losing power. One by one, their drives shut down. Comm signals cut in and out. A voice came over the comm. "Joran Malik here. Figured your guests could use a little reminder. They are not untouchable. Their ships are dead in space." Dravik's head snapped toward the nearest wall speaker. "Malik," he growled. "Good to hear you remember me," Joran said. "Now here's the deal. You walk away without her, and maybe your crew gets their systems back before anyone else in the sector finds them." The silence that followed was heavy. Liren's eyes met Marcus's. She knew this was the moment that would decide her fate. Dravik's gaze returned to her. "You think you can run forever?" "I will not run," she said. "But I will not live as a thing to be you." Dravik studied her for a long moment. Then he looked at Marcus. "You have made an enemy today." Marcus replied without hesitation. "So be it." Dravik turned, his wings folding close to pass through the airlock. Darren hurried after him. glancing back at Liren with a look that mixed frustration and fear. The hatch sealed behind them. The docking clamps released. Moments later, the crimson ship detached and drifted away from the station. Marcus watched on the display as it maneuvered to retrieve the disabled vessels. Within minutes, all three ships had jumped to faster-than-light speed, vanishing from local space. The bay was quiet again. Marcus turned to Liren. "It is over for now." She took a slow breath, the tension in her frame easing. "I never thought I would leave a meeting with him still free." Marcus smiled faintly. "Freedom is not something he can give or take. It is something you claim for yourself." She looked at him for a long moment. "Then I will stay here, not because I must, but because I choose to." "You will have a place here," Marcus said. "Not as cargo, not as collateral, as crew, as family." Her scales brightened, the blue deep and rich under the lights. For the first time since he had found her in the docking bay, there was no shadow in her eyes. Outside, the stars stretched endless and unbroken. The danger had passed, for now, but both of them knew the fight was not truly over. Still, for this moment, they had won, and that was enough.